Get your tickets now for the 23rd annual edition of the OUTshine LGBTQ Plus Film Festival happening April 23rd to May 2nd. Don't miss our incredible grand opening drive-in event followed by 10 days of non-stop films from here and all around the world that you can watch at home. Watch trailers and get your tickets at OUTshineFilm.com now.
All right. Well, welcome everyone, and welcome to the Q&A of our Men's Shorts program. It's Raining Men. So first of all, my name is Chris Fastine. I'm the treasurer. I'm board treasurer for the OUTshine LGBTQ Plus Film Festival. I'd like to welcome you here for today's Q&A. We're so excited to actually have quite a few of the film. I think we've got about 6 or 7 of the films attendees from the films here, so we'll have a great Q&A. But first and foremost, wanted to thank special shout outs to our presenting sponsors, Gilead, as well as Miami-Dade County. And, special thanks to all of our producer circle members. We really appreciate your generosity, your engagement, and, all that you do to bring your enthusiasm, both not only in your attendance, but obviously your money and your funds. It's greatly appreciated. And to those of you who are have been going to our festival, you bought tickets, please consider joining us as well. We're a great organization with a great cause. We managed to stay in touch even throughout the pandemic. So we'd really love to see you guys join and be a part of that as well. So without further ado, I'm so pleased to start bringing in and introducing you to our talent and directors from all of these wonderful films that you've just seen in our Men's Shorts program. So first and foremost, I'd like to bring in Kulin Farah from the film Kumato. Hello, Kulin. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. Lovely to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, lovely to see you. Can you tell us where you're joining us from today?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm actually joining in from Sydney, Australia right now.
Okay.
So,
wow. So what time is it there then?
Right now it's about 8 a.m. in the morning.
Okay, so you're already in the future. We're in the past, you're in the future.
Yes. I see things clearly. See the future clearly right now. So
excellent. Yeah. Very good. Very good. Well, welcome. We're so happy to have you, and thank you for joining us so early. We'll be back with you in a minute to talk more about the film. Next, I'd like to introduce from the film. It's Just in My Head. We have the director, Marius Gabriel Stanchu, as well as Cosmo, who will be helping with translations. Welcome to you.
Hi.
How are you? Great to see you both. And do you mind telling us where you're calling in from today? Where you're joining us from?
Well, we are in southern Italy, in Puglia, and it's midnight here.
Okay. All right. Great. Well, welcome, and thank you for staying on so late. And we'll be talking with you more as well.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. Next, we have from On the Ride. Could we have Jeremy Glazer please join? Hi, Jeremy. How are you?
Great. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you. So Jeremy's the producer, writer, as well as the main actor of the film. And Jeremy, where are you joining us from today?
I'm coming in from West Hollywood, Los Angeles. So
okay.
I lucked out. I got a 2:45 in the afternoon. I don't have to wake up early or stay up late for this.
Excellent. Hopefully it's a little bit warmer, a little bit cooler than it is in Miami today. And so I got to ask, I see you're, we'll jump to the film in a minute, but I know you must be a cyclist because we see you biking in the film. So what is your average, how many miles can you put in per hour?
I don't know if I've ever averaged. I'm not the fastest rider. I maybe made it look that way.
It looked very swift in the movie. So
and actually, if you could see my shirt, there's little bikers there.
Good. Yeah, good.
But I have no clue. I did a ride from San Francisco to Los Angeles once for the AIDS life cycle to support that. I was probably one of the slowest riders. I think maybe 60 miles. It would take me about 10 hours.
Okay. Hey, it's all about getting there, right? It's all about getting there.
Exactly.
Excellent. Well, thanks so much, Jeremy. We'll be talking to you more in a minute. So next, I'd like to welcome from Before the Eruption, we have director Roberto Perez Toledo. Roberto.
Hi.
Hi, how's it going, Roberto?
Yeah, I'm in Madrid. My English is not very good. I prefer easy questions.
Okay, very good. Well, you're from Madrid, and it looks like I'm guessing you're in Europe as well. So midnight as well, about that time?
Yeah, midnight.
Yeah, great. Well, thank you for joining us. I know it's very late, so we appreciate your time. We appreciate your time. Great. And so next, I'm not sure if we have Julian Clark yet, but we'll probably circle back, I guess, if he joins. So our next feature, we have When I'm Her. We have Emily Schumann, as well as Michael Cusimano, aka Madam Olga, joining us as well. Thank you.
Hello, how are you?
Very good, very good. It's good to see you both. So, where are you both joining us from today?
I'm joining from Brooklyn, New York.
Okay.
I'm in Manhattan, New York City.
Great. Sounds good. Sounds good. And maybe tell us a fun fact of something. Do you have any new skills that you've learned to do during COVID, during quarantine?
Ooh, I can make a really good margarita now.
Okay. All right. And what's your tequila of choice?
Always house tequila.
Okay.
I've gotten good at picking fights with my boyfriend. I'm just kidding.
Picking and hopefully resolving them as well.
I'm just kidding.
Great. Okay. Well, welcome to you both, and we'll be talking more about the film in a few minutes. And last but not least, for now, we have Joe Ingham from Baby Lies Family.
Hi.
Hey, Joe. Hi. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm very good. Are you joining us from across the pond from in UK, or?
I am. This is London calling, as they would say on the great Eurovision tradition. Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, welcome to you, and thank you so much for being here. And so I know it's late, so we appreciate you joining us. Great. Well, we've got a great Q&A about some questions. Please all ask, and for sure, this is your time. So for sure, jump in if there's any points of the film I'm not touching on. It's your time to definitely talk. So we'll let everyone else go from the room, and then Kulin will start talking with you.
No worries.
No, adesso inizia a parlare con quelle persone. Non ci sento.
All right, great. Well, so first of all, I'm going to say it one more time, and hopefully, if you want to pronounce the correct name of the film for us, that would be actually helpful, just to make sure that our audience knows. It's Akumato, right?
Yes, yeah, just Akumato.
Okay, great. I did watch the film and I loved it. It looks like we tell the story of Libin, who's a former Somali soldier, and he's kind of caught in this two worlds of like reliving his past and his days as in the army, but then also kind of this relationship he has with his now adult son in Australia, trying to reconnect with him. So tell us a little, obviously, I mean, a very interesting story. Tell us a little bit about the inspiration and kind of how this project came about.
Absolutely. Yeah, so this project came about actually in my second year of university. At the time, I went to film school, and at the time, I was looking for a new project that was going to be like my major. I was trying to think of one at the time, and I remember having a chat with my father at the time, who I actually did live with in real life, and I just had a little bit of a chat. And I suppose as an artist, there's not any subject I won't touch on. So I wanted to talk to him, and I just had the question of like, hey, back in Somalia, back in Africa, which is, that side of my family where my dad's from, what the community, LGBTQ community, how are they treated over there? Kind of what is the situation? How would you feel, if I came out and I identified as this, or maybe I identified as that? And I just started picking his brains with that particular subject. And it was really interesting getting a Somali father's opinion on that, who's in his 50s. And it was definitely something I wasn't ready for, to be honest, just to hear his perspective and his answers. For me personally, I was actually raised by my mother growing up with a majority of my life. So being exposed to, I suppose, these ideas from I suppose, my own culture, I thought, hey, it's a great way to use my own culture as a vehicle to actually explore that. So I thought, okay, well, I'm just going to jump straight into that. And as soon as I had that conversation with my father, it's when I wrote the first draft of the script. And the rest of history. It's crazy because it's been such a long journey, my friend. Like my second year of uni, I'm 24 now.
Oh, wow.
I first draft when I was 19 years old, you know? So for me, it's been a long journey of making the film versus like when it actually came about. So it's great even just to be here and talk about it with how kind of
yeah, you know, a beautiful film. We're so excited that we get to show it in our festival.
Thank you. Great.
So I guess I know I am totally mispronouncing the name, but does it mean something in particular? Does it signify anything, the title of the film?
Absolutely. You know, me, as I mentioned before, you know, I was raised by my mom, and my mom is Australian. So for me, growing up, a large part of kind of my upbringing was whenever I would see my father, which would be maybe like once or twice a year, it'd be a time for me to really reconnect with my culture and find out, you know, what does it actually mean to be Somali? It's a big thing. It's a very rich and kind of deep culture. And for me, Akuma Atu is actually the first word I ever learned in Somali. So I remember my dad teaching me what that meant and what it meant for the culture when it's one of my earliest memories, actually. I was probably like 5 or 6 years old. It means best wishes to translate it, but they use it as a way to cheers each other. So if they're celebrating life, essentially, they'll kind of clink their glasses and say Akuma Atu.
Great. So there's a really powerful scene, I guess, probably midway through the movie, for at least for me when I watched it, and I know for several people, where they're in the kitchen, the father's kind of breaking down, and kind of finding out his son and I guess his boyfriend, lover. How was that scene? How was it you guys to actually film it? And was it important that the son didn't want to let go of his father? He was like really trying to like force him to like engage with him and like not just tell him to leave,
Yeah. You know, if that's definitely one of my favorite scenes in the film. That was quite a powerful thing to kind of shoot on the day. So for me, it was interesting because I was directing it, but I was also acting in it, and it was a really, I suppose, powerful scene to try and do. So for me, I knew that if I wanted that kind of authenticity, I wanted it to be as raw as I wanted as a director, equally as an actor. I knew that we could only do it in one take. So for me and another actor, we actually spent a long time preparing for the scenes, going through multiple exercises and different things like that just to get ready for that moment. And it was really interesting because the actor who actually played who played my lover at the time, who played the character of Jordan, he actually had never met the character of Liban in real life until that moment when he opened the door. And for me, that was very much a decision I made so I can actually separate them and try and make that kind of shock for the father as authentic as I possibly can. Right. So it was very much in the moment. It was very much raw. And I feel bad for the production designer at the end, because when you do see us kind of breaking the stuff off the table and everything falls on the floor in the fight scene, that was caught up and in the moment and sort of not planned for. So at the end, it's like, wow, I don't even know if we can kind of go back and do that, I kind of gave the designer a big hug and at the end of it, but a powerful scene to do and be a part of.
Yeah, I don't want to say more because I don't want to spoil the ending. But and just in terms of the last question, in terms of locations, where was it shot in different, where did you shoot the actual film?
Absolutely. For me, it was obviously I was super young at the time, and this was my graduate film. So for me, it was, how am I going to make this film look authentic to the civil war in Somalia? How am I actually execute that without actually having to go over to Somalia at the time and try and recreate things from the ground up? So for me, we did actually shoot it in Victoria, which is in Australia. We tried our absolute best to try and find these kind of desert-like locations, bring in production and bring in the actors in to try and make it look like a 1990s Somalia, as well as contrasting that with, I suppose, modern day Melbourne, Australia. And I think a big part of what made that look consistent was we did shoot the film on 35mm. And I think that gave it a kind of overall texture, which actually helped the audience sell to the audience, okay, we're actually in, the civil war in Somalia now. I think that really helped, the fact that we were shooting in Victoria.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Beautiful. And any maybe final, I mean, there's a lot, it's a relatively short film, I guess, like 16, 17 minutes, but there's a lot in there. So any maybe final thoughts or thoughts you'd really want for the audience, if they haven't seen the film, to really notice, or if they already saw it, just to make sure that they took away from the experience of watching your film?
Yeah, absolutely. It's sort of consistent in all the work that I make as an artist. I want to make things that talk about the human condition. I want to make things that are real and truthful. Hence why I jumped into that conversation I had with my dad about how he would feel if that story was real, which is what I asked him. And I saw the look in his eyes and his reaction, which was quite, and I dived into that with my art. So for me, I wanted to make something real, something that can really resonate with people, where they can see themselves on the screen. I think that's the most important part of being a filmmaker. It's why I love cinema so much, being able to identify myself in that scenario. So I think for anyone watching it, it's just to try and connect and resonate with the characters in that scenario, and to understand people from a completely different culture, which I think is very much needed in this day and age, especially in this day and age, my friends. That's what I'm trying to do.
Excellent. You couldn't, no better way to sort of, I think, wrap up the discussion. We could be here, I think, all day talking about the film, but Kulin, everyone, please make sure you watch this film, and thank you so much for your time. Great. So next, we're going to go back to talking about It's Just in My Head. If we could get Maurice as well as Cosimo to join.
Yes.
How is it going?
We are fine. Thank you for inviting the film to be part of OUTshine. It's Mario's first short film, so he's very nervous also because he's not very familiar with Italian. So I'm helping in translating. So that's why I'm a little bit outside from the screen, because it's his film.
Okay, no problem. We're excited to have you both. Yeah, so I guess, maybe similar way to start off, tell us a little bit about the inspiration for the film, where the idea came from, what kind of story were you trying to tell?
Che ispirazione hai avuto ad arrivare all'idea e che tipo di storia vuoi raccontare?
Allora, non credo che sia stata un'ispirazione, più di questo è stata un esperimento per vedere come può ragionare una persona che è eterosessuale e si mette nei panni del suo amico che è gay. Allora arriva il momento di accettarlo per forza.
Yeah, I wanted to tell a story telling about the relationship between an homosexual guy and an heterosexual one, and their friendship. What I was most worried about was to try to afford the story in the most natural way possible, and try to tell how an heterosexual guy can really understand the problems that his homosexual friend can have in expressing his feeling towards him.
Great. Yeah, no, definitely. It's, I don't want to give away too much of the film for anyone who's not seen it, but it's, it does have a positive ending. Sometimes I think when people have that conversation, you never know which way it could go. Sometimes it could be very bad, right?
Vuole sapere se il finale è un finale positivo, se c'è un happy ending, perché tu non sai, il finale rimane un po' in sospeso, quindi non si capisce.
Il finale in teoria deve essere felice, però ognuno lo interpreta come gli pare, come gli sembra.
Well, I wanted to show an happy ending, even though in this case happy ending doesn't necessarily mean that the two guys finish up together. So it was more an happy ending in terms of acceptance of the feelings of someone else. So they are friends. They are very best friends since their childhood. So at a certain point, the heterosexual guy is forced to change his perception of his friends. So, but at the end, he accepts his friends, and we don't know if this is a positive ending in a sense or in another one. But in any case, it's a positive ending.
Yeah, no, for sure. Great. Yeah. So actually, Victor actually had a similar question to me, but what is the meaning of the title? Because at least the title, it seems like it corresponds with the song you're kind of playing at the end. What's the meaning of the title?
Il titolo significa il fatto che il personaggio principale, Andreas, aveva paura di dire al suo amico di essere innamorato di lui, e quindi il titolo proviene da là, perché si chiama È solo nella mia testa, e la paura era solo nella sua testa.
Well, the title reflects the fear that the main character Andrea had to express his feelings towards Alessandro with the other guy. So at some point he thought that all the feelings were just in his head, so it was not something that he could express, but at the end he had the courage to express the feeling he had. We had a very beautiful song in the film. Composed,
yeah, I love the song.
By a Portuguese bossa nova, Brazilian bossa nova singer, and they created the song starting from the story of the film. So it was very, very good for us.
Wonderful. Can you tell us a little bit? I mean, the scenery is just gorgeous. Like, what was the location? Was it filmed?
Ho girato su una spiaggia molto agglomerata di Roma che si chiama Anzio, un posto molto romantico e molto bello, secondo me.
So we shot near Rome, in the seaside. It's in a town called Anzio, very famous for these very ancient Roman buildings. In fact, at the end of the film, you can see some Roman rests, and it's like 30 minutes far from Rome, and it's called Anzio.
Okay. And how long did it take to actually make the film and find the actors? Was it easy to find them, or?
Quanto ci hai messo per girare il film, per trovare gli attori?
Per trovare gli attori abbiamo messo quasi 2 mesi, per girare il film 3 giorni e mezzo.
Okay, so we shot the film in 3 days, and then it took quite a long time to finish in terms of post-production and editing, most of all the editing. Of course, it was his first experience as a director, so the thing was like first time, no? The pre-production process was long, like 3 or 4 months in terms of writing the screenplay, finding the actors with the cast in Rome, and the actors were selected among a lot of participants who wanted to do the film. Claudio Segaluscio, Andreas, is one of the most prominent new talents in Italy. He won the Venice Film Festival with a feature film called Sole 2 years ago. And Alessandro Carmine Fabbricatore comes from theater experience. So there were 2 different backgrounds, but we thought that the combination between them was the better one among all the candidates.
Yeah, no, it was very well thought out. You could tell it was good, kind of very good chemistry on the screen. Great, and then I guess maybe Marius, any final thoughts, or any thoughts you'd want the viewers to take away, or any closing thoughts you have on like the film you want us to know?
Che loro vogliono sapere, qualche tuo pensiero, qualche tua riflessione
sul film.
Sì.
Penso che il film ha un significato molto importante per le persone che si trovano davanti a questa situazione, ad essere imbarazzati dalla loro sessualità.
Yeah, I want to remark the fact that for me it was very important to afford this story in which it can sound complicated, especially between 2 very long time friends, to express who they really are. But at the end, also the evolution of someone that is, at the beginning is a little bit like surprised, but then very, very quickly learns to understand, to really understand the friends and to live the feelings of his friends as well. So this is the kind of union.
Great. Well, thank you both so much. A beautiful film. Definitely really enjoyed it. I have to say, in the U.S., we have the saying, they say that French is the language of love. For me, actually, I studied French in high school and college. And then the first time I heard Italian, I think Italian actually is the language of love. It's very passionate and beautiful film.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Grazie.
Okay, thanks so much. But hang in. We'll be back with you shortly. Yeah. Great. Okay. So next, we are going to move on to On the Ride with Jeremy Glazer, please.
Hey, Chris.
Hey, Jeremy. How are you? Welcome back.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Great. So let's dive straight in. Yeah. So it's a really amazing story, I guess, of these four main characters. Scott, Todd, Rashawn, Deidre. Kind of about acceptance, moving on, and sort of this sort of eternal sort of life after death kind of experience, I guess. I know we already talked a little bit about cycling, but what is the tie-in with cycling? Because you spend a lot of time on a bike and kind of moving about in the film.
Yeah. Well, the whole story when I was writing it was actually inspired by a news story that I saw somebody post online. And there's a kind of a spoiler alert here, but it's about the news story was about a man who rode his bike about I don't know, it was like 1,200 miles to meet the man who now contains his daughter's heart, who he lost a year or two prior, or actually probably a couple months prior, because the heart needs to be given to somebody shortly after. But and once I saw that, it really resonated with me, and it was coming at a time when I wanted to just start telling my own stories rather than just being an actor for hire. But yeah, that's kind of how the biking kind of came into it, because it was partly from a true story, but I made the story my own. And I already had a lot of experience from biking with triathlons and other long rides. Yeah.
Great. Yeah. So maybe you could also tell us a little bit more. I mean, I just talked about the inspiration, but maybe how did you find the actors? How did you kind of find the location? How did the actual project kind of come to fruition after from idea to actually making a movie? How did that? Walk us through that some.
Yeah, sure. I first had the idea. I wrote it, and I had this was the first thing I've written that actually got made, because I'm usually an actor, and this is the first time I'm taking the reins into my own hands. And so once I had the script, I consulted with my writing friends. The executive producer, Jim Rash, is a very successful writer, and he helped me hone it together. And then once that was locked, I was able to start bringing on other people. So I brought on one of my favorite directors that I got to work with. Her name's Jen McGowan. And so once I attached her, the ball really started moving, because, with schedules and everything, we wanted to make sure that we didn't lose anybody. So once she came on board, she has an amazing resource of talented filmmakers. So she has a whole platform called Glass Elevator, which is about getting women in film work. So she was able to bring on, basically my whole crew was about 70% female, which I love. We'll really be able to help cultivate more heart in the film, which is obviously a main theme of the film. Brought on a lot of her amazing people. And then when it came to casting, obviously I was using this as a vehicle for myself to act, but the role of Todd is actually played by my real life partner, Brant Rotnam, who's a great actor. There he is. He's up and coming. He's also a filmmaker, and he has a great series out called Hidden Canyons, which I play a part in. Okay. And then once we were bringing the other family onto the film, the role of Deidre is played by Beverly Todd, who I loved her since I was a kid. She is always playing like Morgan Freeman's wife, and she was in Lean on Me, and she had such a strength and heart that I just wanted to go out to her. So it was just a straight offer, and within like a day, she loved it, and she came on board. And then my casting director, we needed to find somebody for Roshan, which is the key scene of the film. And we needed somebody who is very empathetic and obviously a talented actor. And my casting director, Stephen Tyler O'Connor, sent me some of his work. And this is Spence Moore the second, and he's just, I mean, it was hands down, if we could get him, let's get him. And he was just another straight offer, and he read it when he was in between scenes shooting his series, and he was very excited to do it. He loved it, and I never had to have auditions. Everybody just fortunately responded to the script, and we were cast. You know, it was just 4 roles, so it was I was lucky to get that wrapped up fairly quickly.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think it's really interesting as well. I mean, and was it a purposeful decision, you know, either in the writing process, I guess, to have, you know, obviously an age difference, a race difference, you know, person of color, you know, was that kind of very much in the inception of the, you know, how you wrote the script? Like, how'd that come about?
Absolutely. Kind of like what Kulan was saying. You know, I want to tell real stories and also about bringing people together.
Right.
So I wanted the worlds to be somewhat different, obviously. Like, there's me and my partner, we're a white gay couple, and then the heart ends up going to you know, a black family who you know, they're likely heterosexual, even though that's never really brought up in the film. But I just wanted it to be, the film to be about 2 worlds coming together, you know, an intimate connection, even though they never knew each other, but they were able to help each other in ways that they never knew possible. And so obviously it was, just about bringing people together, no matter who we are, where we come from, what our backgrounds are, because we all end up needing each other. And so, and, you know, in the end, they help my character by helping me to begin to move on, by showing me love and explaining their experiences and how they get through it. And I just wanted to, even though it is a story about grieving, I still wanted it to give some hope in the end by showing, especially in these times, you know, we all need to lean on each other rather than, you know, be scared of each other or fight against each other. So I wanted to kind of work that in there without nailing it too far in the head.
Right. No, for sure. Yeah. I mean, obviously there's that very powerful moment where I guess Rashawn asked, well, do you want to hear the heartbeat? You know, because there's obviously still a piece of Todd, or just like the family that you learned about, this little girl who's, you know, it's actually still alive, you know? And so that's a very powerful moment there.
Yeah. That was actually the moment they did that in the news story, where the father got to hear his daughter's heart still going on. And, and that was what resonated with me. And I wanted to bring that into my story.
Yeah. Wonderful. Great. I mean, I think you've been told so much about the story, but anything else in particular that we haven't chatted about that you would want for either the audience to notice? I mean, it's beautiful scenery, beautiful lighting. I'm, you know, as really more of a novice person in film, but it's a beautiful film just to watch. But anything in particular we haven't talked about you'd want our audience to know about the film?
I mean, it was we shot it here in Los Angeles over 3 days, so it was you know, kind of jam packed. All the biking was in one day. The way it was written, it was kind of separated because in the beginning of the film you do see a series of flashbacks with my partner, and it was written where, you know, it was a flashback and then you see me on the bike and then a full flashback. But our great editor really helped, because it is a biking movie. You want movement, you want it to move along, you want to get to where he's going. And he really stepped in with an amazing idea with my director, Jen, to have the flashbacks cut back and forth while he's on the bike rather than so separate, which kind of made it stilted. So it really helped move that the story along so that we get to the crux of the story. And I was really, really grateful to, you know, I was wearing a lot of hats. I was a producer, I was the actor, and I was really lucky to have such talented cast and crew that I was able to trust that they will elevate this film more than I ever could, especially since I'm, you know, fairly new to taking the reins of filmmaking and just knowing that, okay, you know what, you will give it to the editor. He will make this film a little bit better than whatever I could do. So I was very lucky to be in very, very good hands. If that makes sense. I think I'm trying to explain it, but yeah, I was able to have some really, really stellar crew that can really make the story better than what I put on the page.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Jeremy, and we will we'll have you back in a minute.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. So next, from Before the Eruption, can we bring back Roberto, please?
Hi.
Hi, Roberto. How are you?
Hi. Fine.
Good. So tell us a bit about the film. Victor, jump in with questions as well, and tell us a bit about the inspiration, where this idea came from.
¿Puedo hablar en español, Víctor?
Sí, puede hablar en español.
Vale, gracias. Llevo, muchos años contando historias LGTB, sobre identidad, sobre personas que están buscando y averiguando quiénes son y viendo cómo son. Y antes de la erupción es un paso más en esa exploración.
Roberto, un minuto. Roberto spent many years telling LGBT stories about people trying to define themselves, discover who they are, and just tell their stories. And before the eruption continues this way.
Eso es.
No, sigue, si quiere.
Sí, eso es básicamente. De ahí vino la inspiración. Hacía tiempo que quería explorar el universo transgénero y encontré una metáfora en la isla en la que vivo, en Lanzarote, a través de los volcanes, y de ahí nació la historia de antes de la erupción.
Okay, it's been a while. He's wanted to tell a trans person's story, and he just worked out on the island that he lives with the volcano. It just felt like a good oh my God, what's the word? Like not an analogy, like metaphor. It was a good metaphor for what to be told.
Yeah, that actually was my question. What is the metaphor of the volcano? I could think of a lot of ideas, but what is the metaphor of that?
Bueno, la metáfora es básicamente que lo que somos, nuestra identidad, es algo que no se puede aplacar, que aunque intentemos contener esa lava, aunque intentemos contener esos volcanes, acaban erupcionando y acaban arrasando con todo, porque es mucho más importante nuestra identidad.
The metaphor is, your identity is something that you can't contain, like a volcano. When the volcano goes, when the lava comes through, it's going to come through. Nothing in you can stop that, and that your identity is the same way. You just can't stop yourself from being who you are, and that's the metaphor.
So tell us a little bit about the friends, because it seems like a group of friends. I don't know if they're high school friends or college friends. They all seem to be very close to one another, and then obviously the main character, M, ends up, he's kind of transitioning right now. And it seems like there's different reactions. So what, tell us about the reactions of the different friends in this group.
Pues lo que quise fue contar como una pequeña postal sobre lo que ocurre entre ellos en ese viaje. Mi idea es desarrollar estos personajes y esta historia en un largometraje. Y por eso quería como sembrar diferentes premisas en estos 9 minutos que dura el cortometraje. Evidentemente se intuyen diferentes relaciones y diferentes reacciones entre ellos, pero no quise explicarlas más en este cortometraje.
So, they were friends kind of traveling, but it was important that the story could be kind of told within that like told in a postcard. Not that you got all the details of everybody's reactions, because that wasn't true to the whole experience, and it wanted to leave it up to you, the viewers, kind of interpretation of what you're seeing, and then that's what was important. Go ahead, Chris.
No, keep going, please.
No, that was the answer. I'm formulating a question, but you can go ahead with one more, and then I'll jump in.
Okay. Tell us about the location exactly. What parts? Where was this filmed exactly?
The location es Lanzarote, es una isla en Islas Canarias, en España. Yo soy de allí, yo nací en Lanzarote, es un una isla increíble, una isla volcánica con un paisaje absolutamente espectacular, y tenía las ganas y la necesidad de rodar allí una historia, y esta es la historia que creé para rodar en Lanzarote.
And I think we got that. It's the island, where Roberto lives. He's wanted to do a film there for a long time. It's a beautiful island and showcase it. Roberto, the story itself, was it based on someone's story that you knew, or was it something completely fictitious? Like, was it based on a true story?
Yo conozco a gente cercana que ha pasado por ese proceso y por esa transición, y me parecía muy interesante y que no está tan contado en el cine y en las historias, esos primeros días de una transición de una persona trans, esos primeros días en los que les cuentas a tu familia y a tus amigos más cercanos lo que ocurre y cómo tu vida va a cambiar. Por eso me parecía muy interesante centrar esta historia en esos días iniciales de una transición.
Yeah, the story is kind of based on stories that Roberto knows from other, like just knowing other trans persons, and it was important for him to tell the story of those initial days when the trans person is telling their friends and family, and before they move forward with their own personal journey with it. Roberto, how was the casting process for the short film? Like there was a great dynamic amongst all the actors. Did you have them all in mind? Was it a general casting process? And then how was it finding Emilio M in the film?
Pues iniciamos varias vías de casting. Bueno, con algunos de los chicos sí que había trabajado yo anteriormente, con otros no, y encontrar a M fue lo más complicado, y abrimos varias vías y varias posibilidades. Intenté encontrar a una chica trans realmente en esos primeros días de transición, pero fue muy, muy complicado. Y finalmente encontramos a un actor que se llama Pablo Capuz, y que asumió el trabajo con mucha responsabilidad y con mucho respeto y mucho rigor.
Yeah, so some of the actors Roberto's worked with in the past and some other projects, others were from the casting process. For the lead role, he was really trying to find a trans female that was in the initial portion of the process, but it just proved to be too difficult to find someone in that role. Well, he did find an actor to fill the role, and there was a lot of discussions to make sure of the great interpretation of the role, and to make sure they were it's very sensitive to it. Roberto, what would you like people to take away from the film? Like, what would you like people to learn from the film?
Básicamente, creo que es una historia sobre la necesidad de reivindicar que debemos ser quienes somos. Y sobre todo darnos cuenta de que estamos rodeados de personas erupcionando su propia identidad, ¿no? Y creo que básicamente es lo que quiero contar, y que tenemos que ser conscientes de lo que ocurre a nuestro alrededor, de personas que están sintiendo que están experimentando esa transición, y simplemente apoyarlo y respetarlo, porque no es una cuestión que se pueda debatir o opinar sobre ello.
The main thing really for people to take away is that to be aware that there are people around them that are going through this process, and to be respectful of them, and then just and just kind of be empathic, understand what they're going through, and be compassionate toward them, because everyone's just trying to figure out their own identity, and for some people it's a more difficult time to get to where they need to go. And that's really what I hope people understand when they watch the film, that, just be sensitive to someone going through this process and their journey. Chris, do you have any more questions?
No, I think we're good, Vic. That wrapped us up nicely.
Okay. Roberto, mucho gracias, y te vemos en un poco de minutos. Gracias.
Muchas gracias, Víctor. Gracias, Chris.
Great. Thanks, Roberto. And Vic, are we going to have... do we have did Julius join us yet, or are we moving straight on to the next one?
He has not joined us yet.
Okay, no problem.
I'll let you know. Yeah.
Great, so we'll move on to When I'm Her. And if we could have Emily Schumann and Michael please join us again. Great. So really interesting films. We have not only a wonderful director, but we also have very, very well-regarded professional ballet dancer here, Mikey Kusmano.
Yeah.
I mean, I was reading just for a second. I was reading. I love dance, and my family were big fans of ballet. And I was reading your background. It was really, really impressive. I mean, so people just know. I think you won. I read that you won the bronze medal at the competition of Varna. It's just so our audience knows. It's like winning bronze medal at the Olympics. It's like a really huge deal. And obviously went on to a really illustrious career in dance. And obviously had the second life as a teacher. And then obviously, Emily, a wonderful film. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about kind of your background, how you two met, and how the project came about.
Sure. Thank you so much to OUTshine for having us for the festival. I started my career as a dancer as well. Not nearly as amazing as Mikey is, but I started at the very same school that launched his career. So it was Siskaya Ballet out on Long Island. And he was just always this luminary figure for me, just so talented. Even from knowing him from afar, he just glowed everywhere. But I became aware of Madame Olga through her presence online, through Facebook and Instagram, and there she is, beautiful Madame Olga. I saw her teaching ballet classes, and the first thing I thought to myself was, wow, I really wish I had something like that growing up. I was so struck by the students. They seemed to be having an amazing time. So I reached out to Mikey to understand who this person was. And Mikey, you could share your experience with maybe being in a documentary and being approached by someone to make a film.
Yeah, it was just really random. Emily just texts me out of the blue and says, what are you doing? Who is this person? I'm curious as to why you are doing this and your story. And I didn't even know my story because I don't really think very much. So Emily's just like, hey, why don't we film on Sunday and just start, a little process. And I just never really thought of it. And we kind of would meet up a few times a year. And I would just follow Emily's lead and she'd say, just talk. And honestly, I just wanted to be silly and ridiculous and funny, and because I'm kind of a goofball, and I just wanted to be a clown because that's my favorite thing to do. But somehow the energy went in a different direction that I didn't understand or realize it was going in. Maybe Emily knew something more than me. I didn't really question anything. I just went with it, and it wound up becoming a much deeper feel than I would have ever imagined.
Yeah.
For me, nothing planned at all. It's just how I live my life. I like to feel everything, and whether I'm her or myself, that's kind of just how I am. And I don't know. I just look at it like it was a total accident. I don't know. But that was my.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Emily, when did she come about? Was it recent or?
It's really not that recent. I would say 20 to 25 years ago, I just found myself speaking in a Russian accent. I was always very intrigued by the Russian women in the ballet world at ABT. And they were all really, really nice to me, very dramatic, very over the top. Everything was such a big deal. And, ballet was the highest art form. And it was to me too. So I'm a teenager at the time, like 25 years ago. And I just was so fascinated by these women that were so passionate. I just found myself starting to speak like them and feel their energy. And that kind of started to take on a life of its own. And then Olga, the name just started, it came about, and then it just built over the years. And I started performing as her, and then people said she needs her own Instagram, and then I started teaching as her, becoming this woman, becoming this energy. I like to think of her as an energy that she takes over me, and I allow her to take over me. And I always say I let her use my body and I let her do her job on the planet, and then she just leaves me broken. So yeah, it's been like quite a few years that she has been possessing me.
Great. Emily, anything in particular you'd want the audience to really take away from the film? There's a lot of elements, obviously, talking about obviously Mikey's career, but also, this idea that, the ballet is known to be very kind of like a cutthroat, very, very competitive environment. She has a very nurturing approach in the class when you see Madam Olga.
Yeah, I think that for an audience, really for any art form, that if you are possessing the power to teach people, you don't have to be harsh to get amazing results. And I think Madame Olga is the perfect example of that. I think that if you take Madame Olga's class, where you can actually take it yourself, if you go to madameolgatv.com, you can go take a class with Madame Olga, but it is a very serious class. Like, I think when I started making this film, I wanted to be sure to let people know that Madame Olga is not a joke, that she's a real person, and you're taking a real ballet class. You're sweating, you're working really hard, your muscles are sore. Just as even following Madame Olga as a teacher, she dances more than any teachers would normally dance in a class. And I think it just, her energy shines through, and I think people end up wanting to dance. I think that when you're broken down and you're made to feel small, it's not going to make you a better artist. And I think Madame Olga is able to draw that out of her students. So I would just, for people who, are in this art form and are feeling, whatever art form, if you're a filmmaker, an artist, a dancer, if someone's making you feel like you're not worthy, it shouldn't be that way. So find a new teacher.
And thank you, Emily, for saying that. I didn't even know Olga would be teaching. I feel like her life has just, it's become her. She's a separate person from me. She really does have her own life. And when I'm not her, I don't think about her very much, unless I specifically have to plan something. But when I become her, I literally let her do her thing, whatever her moment is or her message is of the day.
And it might not be obvious in the film, but it actually takes about 3 hours for Mikey to become Madame Olga. Obviously, the filmmaking magic, it happens in about 15 seconds. But it's I think that's something maybe that the students of Madame Olga are not aware of, is that it's a very serious thing for Mikey to really get into her. And it's a very quiet, intimate, slow process that was really amazing, for Mikey just to be so vulnerable and let me be a part of.
Great.
Yeah. Sorry, Chris. Yeah.
No, please.
That was probably the most difficult part for me. I keep it very private and very personal, how I channel that and become her, and to have the camera on me while I was in that process was it was a lot for me to handle, but I trusted Emily because she wanted to capture that. So I'm glad I trusted you.
Me too.
Great. I guess, Mikey, I'll give you the final word. Anything else you'd want as the subject of the film, both characters as yourself as well as Madame Olga? Anything you'd want to leave with our audience?
Well, I would say, because as a teenager and into my 20s, I did struggle a lot with self-worth. I think even to this day, it's a daily battle of, let me look in the mirror and love myself. Because ballet did kind of crush a lot of things. I mean, I love ballet, of course, right? It's still my heart, but a lot of dancers or anyone who was in a field where they had a lot of pressure on them, they could lose love for themselves. And I like to encourage all of my students to love themselves every day, even if it's a choice, even if they have to kind of force it or would do whatever they have to. So it's bigger than ballet for me. It's about choosing to love yourself daily. So whether I'm me or I'm Madame Olga, I think that is the biggest message I can give to my students and everybody. I think it's a big part of healing the world.
Great. I couldn't find a better way to wrap that up than with that statement. Thank you so much to Mikey and to Emily. We'll have you back in a final wrap up with the rest of the filmmakers. So we'll see you in a minute.
Thank you.
Last but not least, we have Joe Ingham from Baby Lies Truthfully.
Hi.
Hey, Joe. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Welcome back. Joe, tell us a little bit about, I guess, the inspiration for the project, how this got started.
Yeah, it started quite a few years ago, actually. I was in the ICA, which is a gallery in London, and I was just sort of poking around the shop. Couldn't afford any of the expensive monographs or anything there, so I decided to poke around the bargain bucket and found a book. And I was reading it and I thought, oh my God, who is this sort of new emerging poet? Because the words were so raw and vital, and it really sort of grabbed me by the jugular. And I thought, oh my God, who is this person? And I looked at when it had been published, and it was published in 1987. So it wasn't new at all, but actually extremely old. And so when I started Googling about who David Robilliard was, I found out that he had died not soon after publishing this book. And really, a lot of his work had fallen into obscurity, which I thought was a tragedy, really, because, like I said, it spoke to me so directly and so powerfully. So I sort of became a bit obsessed with him and wanted to find out more about him and his life and how and why he had died so soon. And so I'd wanted to do something with his work for a very long time. And then, of course, I don't know if you know, there's been a pandemic, and when that hit in March last year, all my other work collapsed. So my diary became very free. So having thought about this thing for many years, suddenly there was a chance to do it, and that's when I contacted Russell.
Sorry, I was asking a question. I was on mute. So how did you actually get Russell to be part of the film?
I slipped into his DMs, Chris. It's not professional, but I did it, and he luckily he replied, and he knew of David, and he knew David's work, which was a huge bonus. And obviously, we couldn't meet in person. We couldn't go into a studio like we would usually do, so we had to do everything over the phone and over Zoom, and because we couldn't leave our houses at that point of the lockdown. So Russell was brilliant. He got what David was about, because they're both, I think what's interesting is that sort of David, Russell, and I are both from we're all from working class backgrounds. We're not none of us really consider ourselves artists or anything like that. So, so I think like we all had quite a lot in common in terms of our attitudes towards making pieces of art, if you want to call it that. So, it felt like there was a dialogue not only between me and Russell, but between me, Russell, and David.
Great. Why did you actually think of having Russell for the voiceover with the film? Was there a particular reason for that, or?
I didn't. David. He hated being called a poet. He hated he would never share his work in public. he was like I said, he was a working class lad who came from an island just off the mainland. And he did woodwork. He did woodwork for stuff like for people like Gilbert and George, who've been brilliant in supporting the film. And he was quite ashamed of his art in some ways. And I'd read some stuff of Russell's in the past where he'd said he had similar struggles identifying as an actor. And I thought, well, actually, they've got quite a I didn't want somebody who had the Queen's English or like cut glass, English accent. It wasn't somebody from the Crown who was going to do this. It needed to be somebody who had a bit of an edge to them, and Russell, in the nicest possible way, has an edge. So I thought, like I said, there was some sort of similarities between David and Russell, and I think Russell just did a brilliant job in capturing the essence of David, in that he could be really quite crude and coarse, but in doing so, he'd really, like I said, grab you by the jugular and arrest you, and then sort of on a dime, on the turning of a dime, could be very emotional and could be very sort of insightful. So I thought Russell was the best choice, and he just took it into another a place that I didn't even expect. So I'm very, very grateful to him.
Yeah, the film is very visually very interesting to watch, obviously. And so, can you talk a little bit about the style of the collage of his poems? And you got obviously a lot of archival material. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So obviously, again, we couldn't go out and shoot anything. We couldn't go out and film anything. The lockdown here in the UK at that point was you could only leave your house to get medicine and food. So, we were slightly bound by our dear government's restrictions in that sense. So I decided, okay, well, if we're going to put visuals to it, they need to be already in existence. And so began this sort of trek through archives across the world, particularly in America. We used a lot of stuff from old porn studios, which had operated in places like Chicago, who in the 70s and 80s had actually sort of produced very well filmed, beautifully shot, well produced narrative porn film. Not porn films. And obviously they got to the bit everyone's there for. But when they got there was lots of interesting character stuff and all that kind of stuff. So we decided to repurpose a lot of that. We used archive from places like the BBC over here, and also people like Jim Hubbard as well was very forthcoming with providing material from some of his past work and putting it into a new context, which again I'm very grateful for, and I think it also suited the words that David left us, in that the actual script, the film itself isn't one poem. That script was sort of picked from David's 4 books, was put together, and so that had quite a copy and paste collage feel to it. And so I thought, oh, well, okay, if that's what the script looks like, maybe the visuals look like that as well. And so that's how the two, the sort of the audio and the visual came together.
All right, great. And before we bring everyone back in, any final, I'll give you the last word. Any final thoughts you'd want for people to know about the film? If they've seen it, not seen it yet?
Well, in terms of final thoughts, I would like to say I'm incredibly grateful for it to be selected. And I'd say, I'm very grateful to you and to the entire team at OUTshine. It's been an incredible festival, and you should be very proud for pulling it off in such challenging circumstances. In terms of the film, and if people haven't seen it, then watch it. It's only 6 minutes long. I sort of like to get them in, get them out. I don't want people sort of looking at the watch thinking, oh Christ, is it still going on? So, watch it. It's only 6 minutes. I hope it moves you in some way. I hope at least you sort of, I don't know, laugh a bit or, cry a little. And yeah, check it out.
All right, great. Well, Joe Ingman, everyone from Baby Lies Truthfully. Great. So we're going to bring everyone back in just for a quick wrap up. I know we've had a great Q&A. So I'll wait for everyone to get back on. And I'm seeing from our back producer that we're running quickly out of time, but maybe just as a quick wrap up, tell us around the room, starting with Joe, is well, my first question is, especially given the environment that we're in right now, and tell us about the importance of of film festivals. I think Joe was kind of starting to lead us into that direction, but from your role, just maybe your quick 30 seconds, the role of film festivals, especially this day and age where everything is being done virtually. Any thoughts on how we able to tell that story, or anything that the role and the value of film festivals in this day and age?
We need film festivals. We need them, particularly festivals that are made by and showcase LGBTQ lives, because so much of those lives have either been hidden or forgotten, either in the past or still now. So I think, bringing people together like this, we're all from all corners of the world on this screen at the minute. We've all been involved with very different films shining a light on a whole variety of experience. And I think these festivals are incredibly important. And I don't mean important in that, from sort of a moralistic point of view. They're great fun as well, but we need them, and I hope people will continue to support them, particularly when cinemas and theatres reopen.
Great. Anyone else want to jump in?
Yeah, I want to piggyback on what he said. I feel like film festivals, whether it's virtual or in person, bring people together, and we get to see stories that you wouldn't see on major streaming and all that stuff. And it really will, like he says, it comes from all different corners of the world. And all those other streaming things and on major platforms, it's all separated. Like, I wouldn't be able to see what's on Netflix in London or other countries, and those stories need to be heard worldwide rather than it all segregated and separated. And especially something like OUTshine, where you get to be more specific with LGBT stories and hearing stories that are almost from the underground. It's like you don't get to see these and to connect. And on top of that, filmmakers getting to come together and meet each other and hear their inspirations is just, you wouldn't get that anywhere else. So I've just so grateful to OUTshine and all film festivals for believing in us to bring these stories to life and then programming them. So thank you.
Wonderful. Maybe just to switch questions up a bit, Marius, can you tell us any next plans and projects you're working on? What's next for you? You're on mute right now if you're talking.
Posso dire? Sì, ho due progetti, perché non sentivo bene cosa dice. Due progetti, uno che si chiama La prima volta e l'altro che si chiama L'anniversario. La prima volta sarà girato quest'anno alla fine dell'estate, l'anniversario nell'inverno, penso.
Sorry, the micro was off because I was translating in the meantime, so I didn't want to.
No problem.
So Marius actually has two new shorts projects. One is about to be shoot. We will shoot this summer, and another one in phase of development, and will be probably shot next year in the spring of 2022. And so we hope everything will be okay also with these two new projects. I want to add something about the importance of the festival, being myself a former program for more than 10 years for the Torino LGBT Film Festival, and also handling a sales agent company defending the LGBT films. It's very important that festivals still continue to do this job, even though sometimes can sound a little bit rhetoric and banal. I think it's extremely important, especially now in this particular situation we are living, not only related to the COVID, but especially the political and social different situations we are affording, and this returning of very old ideas. So I think it's extremely important, the work you do. And for, of course, OUTshine as one of the most established North American LGBT film festivals, but all over the world. So.
Great. Anyone else want to jump in? Either question or anything else you want to bring in?
I could, I mean, the next, I think, because we're living in this COVID world still, my next project, I'm interested in exploring how we take care of our elders in the United States. So I'm exploring that through a personal story through my grandmother. So it's been interesting so far. So hope it will be out soon for you guys all to see. But yeah, I think, we're all really hoping to, rub elbows in a theater all together real soon. So I think for all the people who have, stuck with us and watched the festivals, just sharing an enormous amount of gratitude to the audience members, because it seems like collectively everyone here, it's not only about the film that we made, but the team that we had with us along for the ride. So I think just sharing, so much gratitude to our filmmaking team and to the people who are watching, because it just means so much to all of us that, people are still watching films. So yeah.
Awesome.
Great. Cool. Anything you want to add?
What was the there was two questions, yeah?
Yeah, we're just asking, what are you up to next, or the value and role of film festivals?
Yeah, I'll start with the second one. Like, I think, yeah, absolutely. It's just to connect, like what we're doing right now. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're across different sides of the world right now, and we're just connecting over a beautiful medium, cinema. And so important to go back to the cinemas. I can't stress that enough. I love TikTok. Don't get me wrong, I really do. But we need cinemas as well. We need to be going in there and having that experience where we can share that with our family and friends and loved ones and see ourselves on a big screen, dark room, and even just having an opening night the way that OUTshine Film Festival has, like, it's really impressive to be doing something like that in these times. So, I congratulate you. But I think, yeah, film festivals are so important because there's so much up and coming talent out there with incredible ideas that really challenges what people perceive as like the norm, So I think the more, I suppose, different voices from across the globe and different cultures we see on the screen, I think the better. I think in terms of the other question, which was projects, for me, I do more as well outside of filmmaking. Like, I'm also a musician. So, I've got music that I've been working on and I'm looking to put out as well. Just trying to share my art in other mediums as well outside of film. So that's kind of taken up most of my time right now. Outside of that, I am also working on my first feature film. So that's in development right now. So I'm really looking forward to jumping into that one.
Okay, great. Roberto, anything new next projects? Anything you want to talk about?
Yeah, I have shot a new film now, a long feature film. I started without COVID and without masks. And I'm going to make new stories about visibility, queer stories. I think this is the way.
Yeah, wonderful. No, great.
In Spanish, I'm more interesting.
Okay, no, that was great. Good luck to you as well. And I guess, Mikey, last question: where if we want to take Madame Olga's class, how can we do that now?
Well, I've been doing an Instagram live every Wednesday, so you can follow Madame Olga V on Instagram, and then there's also MadameOlgaTV.com where you can get many classes. And I just want to keep letting her do her thing, and where her life and wherever that takes her, I'm just going to let her do it and keep fulfilling her purpose on the planet. I know that sounds weird, but I just want her to keep going and let her have her.
Wonderful. Well, best of luck to all of you. Thank you again so much. Thank you so much to our viewers for watching this wonderful Q&A. I always enjoy, I feel like I learned so much and being a part of this. And thank you so much for your generosity, your time, and be well. Everyone else who's watching, enjoy the movies, and stay safe. And we'll see you soon. Take care.
Thanks so much, Chris.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.
Oh, ma che c'hai? Sei strano.
Com'era impaurito qui. Già sapevo che alla fine dell'estate te l'avrei detto.
Andreas, dove sei? Io sono sotto casa tua.
You think I couldn't handle it or something?
I'm sorry.
It's going to feel really empty in there. And you might think, if they're gone, then so am I. The heart can keep going.